Hello, everybody, and welcome to Backdoors and Breaches Live. We're doing this episode today, very first episode, 001. If you were like, didn't you do this during the pandemic? Shh, we don't talk about that time. Right? So it's a new generation of Backdoors and Breaches players, and we're like, let's go ahead and do this. So today we're calling this what's called a pilot episode, where we don't know what we don't know yet. And so we're going to do this game. We're going to play live, and then we're going to figure out what do we need to fix for next time? Like right before we went live, we remembered there's a Backdoors and Breaches song, and we forgot it, and it's fantastic. And it's like Backdoors and Breaches, and it's great. And so we're going to get that added for next time. But hello and welcome to today's session. We're just going to jump right into it. And so if you're watching live, thank you so much for being here. We have players we'll introduce as soon as they reveal their first card. You don't even get to know who they are until they've accomplished something today. And so I'm going to give them their scenario. They don't know what this is. I did not practice ahead of time. They don't know what the scenario is going to be today. So it's going to be brand new information for them. They got to meet each other backstage. And so some of them have never met in person before, but they've met virtually. And so here we go. Everybody ready? All right. So here is your scenario today. Jonathan has been on the road for the last couple of weeks. He's a traveling salesperson. So Jonathan's a traveling salesperson. He's been on the road for the last couple of weeks, and he's back at the headquarters. Jonathan stops by what's called the help desk, where help desk people work. And Jonathan's like, hey, just want to let you know, my computer's been running real slow while I've been on the road, and now I'm just trying to see if you can get it fixed for me. I'm going to be here at the headquarters for the next day or 2 days, but if you get this up and running for me, that would be great. And that's when the help desk realizes that this computer is not corporate. It's not a corporate device. And so Jonathan's been using his own personal device for the last couple of weeks on the road because Jonathan believes it makes him a better employee by using his own personal device. And so that is what you have to go on. He believes his computer, he clicks an app, it takes forever to load, all kinds of stuff. It's just not working the way it's supposed to be. And so the issue that he has is, can you see if you can fix my computer? But the help desk doesn't want to touch it. And so they've sent it over to you, the security team, to see if you can figure out if this thing has been compromised or if there's a problem with it. And if so, what is the initial compromise? How did the attackers pivot and escalate? What are they using for command and control and exfiltration of data? And how are they maintaining persistence? So with that scenario, how would you like to proceed?
Is kicking
Chris, what do you think?
an option?
Well,
I think we should throw it out and get a new computer.
Yeah.
An elbow drop.
Is there
the
find a new
several
employee an option?
times.
Where's that card?
Sorry, per corporate policy.
the instant one that's going to be we're going to want to use is endpoint analysis, right?
Yeah.
So theoretically thinking, this doesn't have any of our security tools installed on it, so none of the logs are going to be forward. We're not going to be able to use UBA. So endpoint analysis, maybe, and memory analysis would be the first two, I would think.
I agree with endpoint analysis.
That's where I was going
agree.
to.
That's great. Great
Absolutely.
Any other dissenting thoughts? No? All right, so everyone has their own D20 dice on their own screen, and we're going to be on the honor system today that whatever number they tell us that they've rolled will be the number that they've rolled. And I can normally tell by someone's face if they're lying to me or not. So, Wade, since you're the one that suggested endpoint analysis, could you please roll the dice for us and let us know the number that you get?
All right, here we go. Roll. I got to refresh the page. 12.
12. All right. So a couple things. You were successful with your endpoint analysis, and it's an established procedure. So established procedures, if you don't know, get a +3 modifier to them. So if you roll 12, that's +3 is a 15. So it's solidly a successful roll. 1 through 10, unsuccessful. 11 through 20 is successful. So through doing endpoint analysis on this system, you've essentially determined that logon scripts have been installed on this computer. Logon scripts were installed on this system. So first roll, first reveal, so logon scripts. So real quick, if you saw logon scripts installed on a computer, what would you think is potentially going on?
Someone's trying to establish persistence.
someone's trying to do persistence when the user logs in, right? So when that computer reboots a lot, we know this guy's a salesman, so I'm guessing he's turning his computer off and on and off and on whenever he goes. So I would imagine that's exactly what this is, probably like in a startup folder, right? Or something like that. So
good. Yeah.
All right.
They're
So-
trying to collect information more than likely.
So I did say once you reveal your first card, we will do introductions. And so, Sean, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you?
Sure. I'm Sean. I am by trade a program and people manager in tech and security. Many moons ago, I was a software dev and a systems admin. I kind of got involved with Black Hills from my last job, actually. We actually brought Black Hills in to work with us, and I kind of started hanging out with the community shortly thereafter. And this is my first time on Backdoors and Breaches, and I am very excited to be here.
Awesome. And Wade, who are you? What do you do around here?
Hey, I am Wade Wells. I'm a lead detection engineer for a big company. I do a bunch of live streaming stuff with Black Hills. I am an anti-siphon instructor and just all-around community advocate.
And you do B-Side San Diego, right?
I do. I am on the board of B-Side San Diego and try to run it every year. It's quite the hassle.
Awesome. All right, Will, who are you? What do you do around here?
I'm Will, also known as Fat Man Will in the Discord. Been in the community trying to learn everything I can for the past couple of years, and I am also now a SOC analyst with BHIS.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, and that's right. Sean, you're B-Sides Connecticut. I think we just sent the whole
That is
bunch of
right.
stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Chris, who are you? What do you do around here?
Yeah, my name is Chris Young. Username Reach Chris Young. Try to keep it simple. Been in SEO for about 20 years. Definitely picking up into the cybersecurity space and cyber threat intelligence. Recently stepped into the world of being a cybersecurity speaker, and this is my first time playing Backdoors and Breaches. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Aaron, who are you? What do you do around here?
Hi, I'm Aaron. Go by Crypto Jones in Discord. I am a senior developer on the ACM side. I work on the Windows AC event service that communicates with AC Hunter.
Yeah, awesome. And for those of you that don't know, my name is Jason Blanchard. I'm the co-creator of Backdoors and Breaches. We created this game back in 2019 before the pandemic. And since then, it's made life of its own. It's exceeded all of our wildest expectations of usefulness and coolness. Like, we were hoping it'd be cool or useful. It ended up being both. So cool. All right. So next. Oh, did anyone ever notice that the logo for Backdoors and Breaches is actually a maze? Anyway, yeah, it's fine.
That's
It's okay
cool.
if you didn't. It's cool. All right. So you revealed the very first card, the Persistence logon scripts. And if you've never played Backdoors and Breaches before, you have 10 turns to try to solve the 4 cards, which means turn number 1, you solved 1 card, which means you have 9 turns left to go and 3 cards left to reveal. So what would you like to do next?
So what do you guys think? So can we scroll up to the 3 that we need? So we're trying to do pivot and escalate, C2 and exfil and initial compromise.
Yeah.
So try to think about like security tools that we're going to definitely would definitely detect those.
Isolation
types of
doesn't make sense because it's not on the corporate network, right?
No.
Correct. Yeah.
Cyber deception, having some type of like canary token or user token might not be necessary because we already know that there's someone in the system, right? From the login scripts. So to me, of the 4, the only thing really left is Seam.
Well, the deception could detect a pivot and escalate, right? So if we had some type of deception for, say, a domain admin or something like that, we would
Gotcha.
be able to detect that going through.
Gotcha.
Which definitely is a thing, right? It's same thing with like a honey badger or some type of host. We could also detect that, which would be fun. But
if it's a personal PC or a personal computer, it wouldn't be joined to the domain and have those tools, right?
very true. But he is logging. I will say he is logging into things, right?
Good
So
point.
there definitely may be a pivot to try to get into the domain.
Yeah. So then, because you made that point, I think cyber deception then might be the best option.
All right.
Well,
Sean?
any
Sean, what
thoughts?
do you
I'm
think?
wondering. I'm wondering down more on the other procedures side of things. I'm
Yeah, I
looking
was
at,
gonna say.
I'm looking at threat
I'm thinking-
hunting, and I'm looking at endpoint protection analysis. My only question being, like in our scenario, given we're talking personal computer, are those actually viable? You know, I don't know what we got access to tool set wise, but those would be my first go-tos. I'm thinking about how to find the C2 traffic.
Well, Rita is a great tool that we could use to look for C2C beacons.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if we use the other procedures, we don't get like the 3-point bonus modifier. That's the only thing.
Still 50-50.
It's true.
Yeah. I was
I'm s-
actually thinking the network threat hunting or firewall log review. Try to see if we could see any kind of suspicious connections coming in or out of it.
If we do firewall log review, we could correlate with the MAC address, couldn't we, of the salesperson's computer?
Yeah, so we can say we have this computer, right? So it is on the network now. So we are going to be able to watch the traffic, and we know it's compromised. So there is a way to look at least the networking logs that are coming through, because it is we'll say we have it communicating right now. I think the network threat hunting with Rita is probably the best way to go just with that.
Gotcha.
Let's do it.
All right, Sean.
Network threat hunting with Rita.
No pressure.
No pressure.
All right,
Roll
well,
says 18. Wow.
18.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, very nice.
Crushing it.
It's something I didn't talk about before is that there's a 3-turn cool-off period in backdoors and breaches, which is why I moved to 3, the 2, and eventually the 1.
Oh.
So
that
that
makes
way
sense.
You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again because, that's not real. So network threat hunting, taking a look at it, you are able to determine that this device is exploited. So this is the initial compromise. This device is the exploited device, which is causing potentially they pass through that device into your network, but this is the initial point of compromise. It's nothing else that compromised the system. This system was compromised, which is now potentially compromising the rest of your organization. So you have revealed the initial compromise card. Bring on. So 2 turns, 2 cards revealed. Well done. Let's see if you can figure out the pivot and escalate and the C2 and exfil.
All right, guys. I'm gonna let you guys handle this. I'm gonna.
UEBA, possibly.
User and entity behavior analysis.
So
What was
why-
that?
That's where I was.
Why
looking for.
why UEBA?
Just to see like his normal activity on that laptop, so we can see if there's any kind of variation in that.
Well,
see if anything news popped up.
salespeople don't actually do anything, so would there even be any patterns?
The
Shots fired.
Can we get UABA on his phone? Maybe that would probably be the better of the two, right? Man,
To all of our salespeople watching today, we love you and thank you so much for your support.
we know you do things.
And so the 2 we're still trying to reveal. We're trying to reveal the pivot, right? And
Right, the pivot and the
C2
C2 exfil.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Got it.
And I think doing the
UEBA
behavior
might not be bad
analysis,
for that, actually.
we could probably find the pivot on that, possibly.
Well, even with memory analysis, we don't have something to check it against, right? Like we don't have a hash or a Yara, so.
Well, memory analysis, you're not necessarily checking for hashes in Yara. You're just looking for crazy, weird things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would be able to see
Anomalies,
you would be able to see what programs are run using some like special artifacts, right? And be able to see caches and that type sort of stuff. There's a bunch of different really things you could see with memory analysis. It's more of a historic. But the other thing is, depending on what type of analysis you do, you would actually, like if the computer was turned off, you may not see certain things. So, which I'm assuming it was. But I would honestly think memory analysis would bring up something.
I also
Another-
thought server analysis, but I was looking at where logon scripts are actually stored. Definitely in a domain, maybe even group policy if we're looking at servers, but this is on the local computer, so I had to stay away from that.
One thing that might be, let's not sleep on SIM, because with Splunk or LogScale, you can correlate events. So we can correlate from the time Mr. Salesperson started his computer to look, hey, look, now there's been 13 token requests for the Active Directory server. So that might be another cool tool to use to figure out what an attacker is doing.
And firewall log review could still be a potential candidate too. Like somebody
You're just reading the chat. All right, we know.
Yeah, I just mentioned
I
that.
was
You
just
didn't give
gonna
me
comment
time to
on
get it
that.
out my mouth, sir. Jeez.
Roswell just calling
But,
us out,
hey,
we're not using firewall stuff.
You know what though? You're
there
gonna
we go.
mention that I did mention firewall as the last
you
turn's
did.
one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
haha.
So I will admit, my first thought was like, Rita should have caught the C2, right? So that was like, like, okay, it didn't catch the C2. Maybe it's in some other weird format. So I think firewall would catch C2, but
Well, once they have the C2, then they would want to pivot, right? Or would they do?
Not necessarily.
no, it doesn't always follow the freaking cyber
Fair
kill
enough.
chain line,
Yeah, it
right?
doesn't
But usually
It's not always linear. Yeah.
usually persistence is the first thing. Well, you establish command and control, then you either maintain persistence in some.
This also isn't an episode of Friends. You don't get to tell us to pivot.
Wow.
All right.
All
so-
right, we got to pick something,
Yeah,
guys.
we
I
gotta
don't
pick
know.
something.
Should we go
Let's
firewall?
go.
We can go firewall.
Do we want to do firewall or
Yeah, let's do
UBA?
firewall.
Okay.
We'll roll.
All right, Will, go ahead and roll the dice for firewall.
I hope
Who's
you
going to
miss
be our
it.
first fail?
Deb's
fail.
a little bit suspicious of our rolls.
Oh.
She doesn't believe.
13.
13.
Ah.
13.
All right. So through the firewall log review, you're able to determine that within your organization, there are currently 8 systems all sending traffic to the same G Drive account.
Gee golly Wally.
G Drive.
8 systems
Woohoo.
all sending traffic to the same G Drive account. 3 turns, 3 rolls, 3 cards.
Man, we are sinking it. This
We're
hour-long
crushing it.
webcast is not going to last an hour at this
All I
point.
know is the podcast is going to be like 27 minutes, and people are like, that was great. And then the next one's like, so it's an hour.
The next one they fail and it goes for the whole hour. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
Basically,
It's like all threes.
All right. So you still have to figure out if you have these internal systems all beaconing out or essentially
Right.
sending
How-
data out
how
to the
did it
same G
happen?
Drive account. Yeah.
So
We
then
need to find the pivot.
Seam would be a good way to correlate. You know, we have fire logs. We know like X happened at Y. So using Seam to correlate those timestamps with other activities might be a good way to go.
You know what a great way to pivot is if like a person's browser isn't updated, right? Like usually you can exploit the browser and then escalate to sysadmin. I don't know why I would say that, but I'll let you guys like look around and figure that out.
Wade's a plant, guys. Wade is a plant.
Come on. Somebody with a mustache like that could never lie to you.
No, he's talking about cyber kill chain. I kind of feel like you aren't like a secret squirrel kind of guy, are you?
No, no, I am definitely like tinfoil hat wearing. I take it off and put it on when I see fit. But, you know, like I need to.
Look
Every
at that
now and then, a
comb over.
conversation needs spice in
That
it.
That's
comb over is
exactly-
trustworthy.
That's exactly what a Fed would say. Just so you know.
I'm going to recap the scenario real quick.
Okay.
So the scenario
Yeah,
is Jonathan, the salesperson, was on the road for the last couple of weeks, came into headquarters and asked the help desk to help fix his computer when the help desk realized it wasn't a corporate system. It was its own personal device. And then from there, the help desk was like, I don't want to touch this. We're going to give it over to the security team, which is who has it now, which is the team that's playing. And originally they found that logon scripts were installed. And then when they dug in a little bit deeper, they realized that this device was compromised due to network threat hunting. And they were able to determine through firewall logs that they have internal systems that are all sending data out to the same G Drive account. And so that's where we are. We're trying to figure out, well, how did it get from this one compromised system that Jonathan brought in to potentially throughout the rest of the organization where other endpoints are now sending the data out to the same G Drive account. So what would you like to do next?
Yeah, I think Seam is the best choice. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I'd go with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
All right. Who's going to roll for Sim?
I can roll.
I can roll.
Who's rolling?
I am Chris.
All right, Chris, you're going to go ahead and roll. This
11.
is an established procedure. You get a +3.
You got an 11?
I got an 11.
Okay.
These are shady rolls.
All right.
Shortest live stream ever.
No, I will let you know right now. The sim was successful, but it is not picking up whatever the pivot and escalate was. So just because you had a successful attempt with a procedure does not mean it reveals the attack card if it is not listed as a detection on that attack card. So whatever the attacker is doing is not detectable to the sim and we'll talk about that at the end.
I feel like you're making stuff up, Jason. That's not fair.
I'm gonna tell you, at all the sims I've looked up, there's plenty of times where it just didn't work.
Were you using log scale?
No,
It's
I'm a
not just the
spunk man.
tool; it's what you got in it too.
And Timmy says roll should be
okay.
done in Discord chat. So
Wait,
we'll
are
look at
you
that.
saying you actually have to send logs to the seam to be able to read the logs? That's crazy talk.
What? Then you have to parse them? What kind of craziness is this? Just a string search. All right, so
Thoughts on endpoint security protection analysis?
think about user. I'm leaning towards UEBA.
Yeah.
Because we want to
again.
see what the
Okay.
users are doing weird things.
Which, for the
right?
record, Will suggested like 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah, but it's
we
okay.
had-
He didn't.
if we had
It's not
listened to
about
him,
who's
Yeah,
right and
he-
wrong.
he-
fair enough.
He
Except
circles
when
back
it
to
is.
me all the time.
Chris,
Trust
Chris,
the guy
what do
with
you,
the backwards hacker shirt on.
oh yeah, Chris, what do you think? Where you go? Where are you leaning?
I
towards
want
right
to
now?
see what his behavior's been for sure.
Yeah. Do you think it's just him? Like, I'm not even thinking about him. We already know like 8
I'm thinking
people are
other people,
compromised,
but-
right? Yeah, we're
Sure.
thinking that maybe we can follow the trail backwards with some
Would-
crumbs.
Would UEBA be
Right.
able to identify like every G drive connection on the network, or
It should be able to discover like what users are doing weird things. That's if like UEBA ever works, to tell you the truth. It's kind of a
Yeah,
snake world
I mean, with
sometimes.
us now,
But but I think
look through
okay,
the
is that what we're
UEBA
gonna go
for all
with?
8 of them.
I like it.
Let's go with
All
that.
right.
Let's do it.
Who's rolling the dice for UEBA?
I will.
All right, Aaron, go ahead and roll the dice. Let's,
All right. Oh my gosh! I swear I can share my screen if you guys don't believe me, but it's 18.
Ah.
I mean, if it's 18, it's 18. Yeah, it's whatever the dice say. So I'm moving this over here. I'm moving this over here. And you reveal that the attackers were using broadcast multicast protocol poisoning on the in the environment. So 5 turns, 4 cards.
We got him.
You got it. All right.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk through,
The A
like,
team right
because
here.
it's not just revealing the cards that leads to everything that happens. We're actually going to talk through this attack scenario now. And so, well done. You revealed all 4 cards in 5 turns. And so the original scenario was Jonathan, a salesperson on the road, came to the office, said, "Hey, here is my laptop." We found out the laptop was not a corporate laptop. It was a personal laptop. And so escalated to the security team, where they found that it had logon scripts installed on it. It was the initial compromise through network threat hunting. They were able to use firewall logs to figure out that other systems internally were sending data to a G Drive account. And then through UEBA, they were determined that broadcast multicast protocol poisoning is what was used to gain access to other accounts. So with that said, here's the question for each one of you. And I'm going to have each one of you answer this question. So it's going to be a yes, no, or maybe question. So whenever someone plays Backdoors and Breaches, when the session is over, ask every single person who participated this yes, no, or maybe question. So ready? Will, is this a plausible attack that you know of? Yes, no, or maybe?
Yes, under the circumstances,
Okay.
I feel this could happen.
Wade, yes, no, or maybe?
Can I go last?
Sure. Aaron, yes, no, or maybe?
I don't think it is. I think that a corporate environment would have like things in place to keep these things from happening.
Okay. Sean, Loki, yes, no,
You
or
can call
maybe?
me whichever. Yeah, I'm leaning towards no. I'm a little bit of like the BYO device side of things. Like with this little control seems a little bit far fetched, and then I'm also just scratching my head around whether the protocol poisoning is actually a realistic method for lateral movement in this case.
All right. Chris, yes, no, or maybe?
I'll go to the other side just because I want to keep this split and let Wade break the tie. But I'm gonna say yes because you have no idea what people are clicking on recklessly these days. So I want to say yeah, just to be ridiculous.
Okay.
That's fair.
Wade, yes, no, or maybe?
Man, I was trying to bring up that. Can you bring up that card, the pivot and escalation card? I was trying to look up. So I will tell you this: the broadcast. Yeah, I'm not like super familiar with this attack, and I do not think from like reading this right off the bat, I don't think this is. You would be able to pivot based off of this attack to the internal network. So I'm saying no, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an expert. I think this may need to be something else, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't have the cards memorized anymore. I used to in order to cheat in metagame, but it was pretty. Honestly, like here's the thing: like Rita is like uber powerful. If you just use Rita off the bat, it catches like almost everything. But you didn't hear that from me. Yeah. But so overall, I do not think this is credible, but I'm pretty sure Jason's going to come in and be like, we did this exact breach, and it is.
I do want to hear about the protocol poisoning, because I was also suspicious of that.
Yeah. So when you're creating a scenario in backdoors and breaches, it's not necessarily up to like, is this possible? It's the discussion that takes place afterwards. And so like, is this possible where we work? Like, that's the question to ask yourself. Like, is it possible where we work? All right. So I didn't want to ask you if this was possible where you work, because I didn't want you to like give up any of the secret things that you might have. But when you're playing internally with your own team, you ask yourself the question, is it possible where we work? And so for the audience and the people watching live right now, feel free to throw into the chat if you think this is possible where you work. No, wait, no, not where you work, because then that's also giving it up. But think through, is this possible where we work? All right, and then I didn't say this at first, but today's episode was brought to you by Anti-Siphon Training. So if you ever want to take hands-on training with Anti-Siphon, it's antisiphon.com, antisiphontraining.com. And so you can take training with us to learn any of the things here that we're like, I don't know what some of these things were. Well, potentially could happen through training at Anti-Siphon. All right. So here's how you wrap up a Backdoors and Breaches session. You ask every single person who participated, including spectators, what was your one takeaway from today's session? So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, what was your one takeaway from today's session? So Sean, what was your one takeaway today?
Biggest thing is both how to play Backdoors and Breaches and how useful this could be as an alternative to traditional tabletops, which I've done before. And so this just is like a great way to mix that up.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Chris, what was your one takeaway today?
I need to take more anti-siphon training classes. I'm surrounded by ninjas, and I just want to get up to their level. No, this was really insightful, informative, not only for my personal knowledge, but also just to see how other people think through challenges as well.
Yeah. Aaron, what was your one takeaway today?
To be honest, I had never heard of multicast poisoning, so I'm going to have to go do some Google Foo and read up on it.
All right. Will, what was your one takeaway?
Mine is actually the same as Aaron's. I didn't know about multicast poisoning, so that gives me something to go look up now.
One of my favorite things about LLMNR is that if you Google search LLMNR, Wikipedia comes up first, then Black Hills. Like, that is how synonymous we are with LLMNR. We're like, just turn it off. And what we've learned over time is that most organizations turn it off in the gold image that they have for all users, but the sysadmins and the admins do not turn it off for themselves because they want to have everything and then do it themselves, which is how we generally compromise a ton of organizations because they forget to turn it off for themselves, and so that we gain access to their accounts. Wade, what is your one takeaway today?
Yeah, echoing everyone else, right? I know a little bit about LLMNR, but I kind of wanted to understand what everyone else thought about it too. That's why I wanted to go last. So definitely cheated there. I do have to research more about that now. Like thinking about it too, like if the host was on the network, right, that sales guy joined the network and then he was able to escalate, like it's definitely possible then. Now we talk about it and think about it. And just always remember the SIEM isn't like always the way to go. Logs aren't always the best thing. Sometimes you have to do active things.
Well, thank you so much for watching Backdoors and Breaches Live. Today's session was only 30 minutes long because you rolled very well, suspiciously well. But it's fine. It's fine. This is our very first episode. If you like this, let us know. Reach out to us and ask. Let us know if you want more of this. It will be a different scenario every time. And our goal is to take the scenario that we used today and then put it out to the community. So that way, if you're trying to think of what scenarios to use inside your organization, because we didn't even touch on, like, can you legally touch Jonathan's computer? Do you have the policy to touch Jonathan's computer? There's like a lot of stuff there that we could have dug into. but I
Yeah.
chose not to today.
I tried to reject the idea, but Jason was like, "Nope, we're playing the game. I don't care what you say."
Jason did not match legal and policy with me on the group. I get it. I get it.
I totally forgot. Like, we didn't even talk about this. Were we playing with injects too?
Only if you roll a 20, a 1, or have 3 failed rolls in a row. But you had 3 successful rolls in a row, and I almost thought about bringing an inject in just.
You should
Just
have.
so.
You should have. You should have.
You should.
And we're also
You
just
should.
using the core deck today. So in the expansion deck, there's a lot more evil injects because we just got mean in the second.
Wade catches food poisoning. He's out of the game.
Hey, speaking of expansion decks, there's been like 3 or 4 new expansion decks that have come out, right? What exactly are the expansion decks?
Yeah, so Ryan, if you want to throw up big on the screen, if you go to play.backdoors and breaches, it's totally free for anyone to use. We have the Cloud Security deck, the Expansion deck, the Huntress deck, the Red Canary deck, the Den Secure deck, the Trimark deck. We have an ICS and OT deck if you want to do industrial control systems and SCADA systems. And then we have the Mega deck. And then finally, if you want to build your own attack scenario, you go down to Scenario Tools, go to Scenario Tools, Custom, and then you essentially can use every single card we've ever created all in one deck and pretty much build the TTPs of any ATP, and that was a lot of acronyms. And with that, any other questions before we wrap up?
The whole time we were playing, I was trying to figure out how to make how to look at all the cards with that custom tools and the scenarios down at the bottom. I thought there was like something that I was missing where it was like DM type of deal, but now I can actually read that element card.
So we can all add a Wade likes to cheat.
I like to be well informed.
That's the other learning for everyone else here. You know.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not overlapping backdoors and breaches with Oregon Trail. I don't want somebody to get dysentery and not make it to the end with us.
Well, it does. It overlaps. It does. If you roll
Yeah.
1,
Thankfully-
it overlaps real good.
Yeah, there's
Thankfully, the
there's
session is
cards.
short.
We have an inject card where a bear attacks a power station. And so the power goes out for your
Bear versus Power Station. I
Yeah.
like it.
All right, everybody.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for playing today. Thank you so much for joining us. And tune in the future for episode 2 of Backdoors and Breaches Live. And thank you so much to our guest for joining us today and for being willing to go first. We appreciate you. And in the future, if you want to be a part of Backdoors and Breaches, if you want to be a guest on, we would love to have you. So just reach out to us and we'll start building out a roster of who's going to be playing Backdoors and Breaches Live. And with that, kill it, Ryan. Kill it with fire.